My friend, walking through the streets of Hong Kong as a young man, I witnessed something that would change my understanding forever. There, in the corner of an old temple courtyard, a single tree had split the ancient stone steps. The temple masters kept trying to remove it, to preserve their perfect structure. But you see, nature had a different lesson to teach. In our traditional schools, we too build perfect structures, perfect forms, perfect techniques. We lay our foundation in stone and say, this is the way. But let me ask you something. Why do we fear the force that breaks through these perfect patterns? You see, the ancient Zen masters spoke of mushin, the mind without mind. But today, I speak to you of something else. The mind that grows through mind. In my own journey from Wing Chun to what I now teach, I had to become like that tree, breaking through not just physical limitations, but through the very concepts that once defined me. When I first began questioning traditional methods, many called it disrespect. But my friend, is it disrespect when a seed breaks stone to reach the sun? No, it is the purest form of honesty. In combat, as in life, we must have the courage to break through our own foundations when they no longer serve our growth. This is why when I teach now, I don't just ask my students to be fluid like water. I challenge them to be unstoppable like that tree, patient enough to grow through stone, strong enough to break through lies, courageous enough to transform everything they thought they knew. This is where true power begins. My friend, let me tell you what I see in these modern martial arts schools. Students memorizing forms like prisoners, memorizing the walls of their cells. They throw 1,000 punches in the air, believing that quantity will somehow transform into quality. But you see, they are training their bodies while imprisoning their minds. Just yesterday, a young student came to me, proud of mastering his kata. I have memorized every movement, he said. I asked him to fight, and suddenly, all his perfect movements vanished like smoke. Why? Because he had learned to dance with air, not to engage with life. This is the great disease in martial arts today. Teachers build cages and call them systems. They create boundaries and call them styles. This is the only way, they say. This is the traditional way. But tell me, my friend, did the first martial artists have traditions to follow? Or did they learn by discovering their own truth? I watch these students, these passionate young warriors, trapped in their rigid patterns. When they punch, they think about their form instead of their opponent. When they kick, they remember their teacher's words instead of feeling their own body. They have become like statues, perfect in appearance but unable to walk their own path. You see, the traditional schools have created a terrible illusion. They teach that mastery means perfecting what is known, rather than exploring what is possible. They have forgotten that the martial arts were born not from repetition, but from necessity, from real combat, from real survival, from real understanding of human movement. You know, my journey began like many others, in the halls of traditional Wing Chun. Under the great master IP man, I learned to trap, to stick, to follow rather than oppose. For years, I believed this was the answer, the ultimate system. I was like many of you, passionate, dedicated, certain. But then life gave me its greatest teacher, necessity. When I came to America, something changed. Fighting on these streets, teaching these students, I faced questions that my traditional training couldn't answer. Different bodies, different attacks, different energies. Each encounter showed me the limitations of believing in only one truth. There was this moment, this one precious moment of realization. During a fight, I found myself trapped between my Wing Chun techniques and what my body naturally wanted to do. In that split second, I understood. I was fighting myself more than my opponent. My loyalty to tradition had become my greatest opponent. This, my friend, was the birth of Jeet Kune Do. Not just a new style, no, something far more significant. It was liberation from style itself. I realized that true martial arts is not about adding more chains. It's about breaking free from the ones we've created. Like that tree breaking through stone, we must grow through our limitations, not just accept them. Every traditional technique I had learned became not a rule to follow, but a question to explore. Every form became not a pattern to memorize, but a door to open. This is not about disrespecting the old ways. It is about honoring their true purpose, to guide us toward our own path of self-discovery. Let me share with you something real, my friend. Not philosophy, not theory, but truth, learned through sweat and combat. I remember a fight that lasted only 3 minutes, but taught me lessons I could not have learned in 3 years of traditional training. My opponent was bigger, stronger, a traditional heavyweight boxer. Everyone expected me to use my Wing Chun trapping hands. It was what I knew best. But in that moment, watching him move, I saw that clinging to any one system would be my downfall. So I became formless. When he expected me to trap, I kicked. When he expected me to retreat, I advanced. Not because of any style, but because that was what reality demanded. This is what I teach my students now. Last week, I worked with a young man who had 15 years of classical training. Sifu, he said, I know how to block 4 different ways. I threw a simple punch, and he stood there, thinking about which block to use. You see? This is the difference between knowing and understanding. So we began again. I taught him to stop treating combat like a puzzle to solve, and start feeling it like a river to navigate. 3 sessions later, he moved, not like a martial artist playing a role, but like himself, pure, direct, honest. This is what I mean by immediate application. Right now, as you listen, clench your fist. Feel the tension, the preparation for what you think will come. Now, slowly release it. Feel how your energy flows naturally. This simple act contains all you need to know about the difference between rigid thinking and alive movement. I have fought men trained in every style imaginable. Do you know what made the difference between victory and defeat? Not the number of techniques mastered, but the ability to be present in the moment of combat. To respond to what is, not what you think should be. My friend, what I'm sharing with you goes far beyond the realm of combat. These principles I've discovered in martial arts. They are the same principles that govern all of life. Think about your work, your relationships, your daily challenges. How often do you find yourself stuck in patterns that no longer serve you? A businessman came to me last month, frustrated with his negotiations. I've read every book on strategy, he said. But you see, he was doing what martial artists do, seeking answers outside, instead of understanding from within. I told him, in combat, when I sense tension in my opponent, I don't meet it with more tension. I flow with it, redirect it. The next week, he returned with a smile. He had closed the biggest deal of his career, not by forcing his way through, but by adapting, understanding, flowing with the natural energy of the negotiation. You see, every day presents opportunities to practice these principles. When you wake up tomorrow morning, try this. Instead of immediately planning your day, take 30 seconds to simply observe your thoughts, your breath, your energy. Don't judge. Don't control. Just observe. This is the same awareness that saves me in combat, and it can transform how you navigate your daily life. In your relationships, be like the fighter who knows when to advance and when to create space. With your children, understand that rigid rules without flexibility create rebellion, just as rigid techniques without adaptation create weakness. At work, approach each challenge not as a battle to be won, but as an energy to be understood and redirected. Remember, my friend, life itself is your dojo. Every conversation is a form of combat. Every challenge is an opportunity to break through your own limitations. The true master is not the one who has learned to fight, but the one who has learned to meet life without fighting against its natural flow. Remember that tree we spoke of, my friend? The one breaking through concrete? Look around you now. Where is your concrete? What structures have you built around your mind, your potential, your dreams? Here is my challenge to you. Starting tomorrow, become conscious of your patterns. When you catch yourself saying this is the only way or this is how it's always been done, stop. Feel that resistance, that hesitation. It's your concrete. But within you lies that same unstoppable force of growth. Begin small. Each morning, question one thing you've always taken for granted. Each day, try one new approach to an old problem. Each moment, ask yourself, am I growing through this barrier, or am I letting it contain me? You see, the tree doesn't break through stone in a single day. It grows persistently, patiently, but unstoppably. This is your path too. Not in giant leaps, but in small conscious moments of choosing growth over comfort, truth over tradition, exploration over acceptance. My friend, remember this. The strongest walls are not the ones around you, but the ones within you. Break through those, and no external barrier can contain what you might become. This is not just a philosophy. This is an invitation to truly live. Now go, grow, break through,